Capri Sun for Adults, Part 2.
I'm Greg.
I'm Julie, and we're the Crafty Winers.
So, hopefully you watched part one already.
If you didn't, you might want to pause this and go back and watch Part 1, because you'll know what's going on, and you might think we're insane right at this moment. You might still think we're insane after you watch the first one, but
You'll know we're insane by the time this one is over. So, we started this on the 6th of April. The initial gravity was 1.092. It started fermenting like it should. And 4 days later, it was dead. There was nothing happening. There was no bubbling. And it stalled. Per my notes, I gave it oxygen using our oxygenation wand, aeration wand, for 3 minutes. I gave it a 16th teaspoon of fermented O. So I checked the pH. It was 3.26. When we started, it was 4.07.
which is a huge difference because pH uses a logarithmic scale, so it's a huge jump. What, 10 times?
10 times per point.
Yeah.
So that's what stalled it.
And
I'm pretty sure.
That's the first time we've experienced that, because it hasn't done that with the regular wines. But we started doing these like experimental wines like this one and some sodas and stuff. He calls them Franken-Wines. We'll have videos on those soon once we get them all figured out, but they apparently tend to keep dropping pH.
Well, pH fermentation naturally drops the pH, but with sodas they use potassium benzoate. And potassium benzoate, its main purpose in life basically is to keep things from growing in the soda, including yeast. But with potassium benzoate, as long as you keep the pH above 5, it is ineffective. So that's the trick with sodas. And again, we will do a video just on our Franken-Wines. This, however, Capri Sun uses mushroom extract as a preservative.
Does it say that on the ingredients?
It does say that. So that you people that hate mushrooms, you may want to rethink your Capri Sun usage. It's the last ingredient.
Huh.
And I am expecting that probably it also has a pH factor where above a certain pH, it's probably not as effective. But so I adjusted the pH on this. I added 1/4 teaspoon of potassium carbonate. It wasn't enough. I added another 1/4 teaspoon of calcium carbonate. That got me to 4.34, and I was okay with that. I didn't want to mess with the pH a whole lot. So at that point, I added a care package, and we have a video, we have a short actually on care packages, but I'll link the exact ingredients above. But basically, it's a teaspoon of yeast, some fermento, some yeast holes. You let that sit out for about 2 hours to ferment about 80, and then add it to the must. And that worked. It started back up again with a vengeance. I think the pH was a factor. It's also possible that mushroom extract might have been defeated by the fact that I put twice as much yeast in, because we started with 1 teaspoon and then I added another teaspoon. So it's possible it just got overpowered by the amount of yeast. It's not really worth trying to figure it out, but if you make this, do keep an eye on the pH. Don't let it go too much below 4, or I'm going to say odds are that it will stall. So
I didn't even see that mushroom extract in there when we read the ingredients the first time.
Well, and it actually says mushroom natural. Extract to preserve quality is what it says in there. Okay. So that's what clued me to it being a preservative. And so then I asked Alexa, and sure enough, it's a preservative. Its job is to keep yeast from growing.
So eating mushrooms keeps yeast from growing in your body.
So fungi we use them, humans use them for a lot of things. That's where penicillin comes from.
It's true.
So we use it to kill things. So
I guess that makes sense.
So the final gravity, I checked the specific gravity 3 days in a row. It didn't change, which is how I know that this is done. But the other clue is that it's 0.990, which is quite dry. So this weighs less than water. Anything that's less than 1.000 is lighter than water, which tells us that there's a lot of alcohol in it. So We actually tasted this last night.
Mm-hmm.
Capri Sun is 15% juice. And one thing that we've learned from the Franken-Wines, the sodas, is that when there isn't a lot of juice, a lot of the flavor ferments out. And that is the case with the way that this sits right now. It has a strong alcohol taste. It is 13.8% ABV. So it's got a lot of alcohol in it.
But lost the fruit punch flavor.
It tastes like almost like water. There's a little hint of Capri Sun taste, and the rest is an alcohol taste. So it's not good.
No.
And we were almost just done with it, but then had the idea, why don't we mix this with half Capri Sun and see how that tastes?
Mm-hmm.
And by George,
it tastes like Capri Sun.
It tastes like Capri Sun. So what that ends up doing, if you mix half the product that we made with half Capri Sun, it halves the ABV. So it ends up, instead of 13.8, it ends up being 6.6, which is about what a seltzer is going to be. Probably. I mean, maybe even a little higher.
It's a little higher than most seltzers.
But the point is that the alcohol, the over-alcohol taste went away, and it tasted again like Capri Sun. Actually, it's pretty tasty. It's something I think that we'll drink.
It actually is good. Cold, chilled is part of the key to that.
You want it chilled. So we are going to do it exactly the way that we did it last night in a small batch. We're going to use our measuring pitcher, and we're going to put all of this, we're going to rack all of it into here, and then we're going to split it up into 2 1-gallon containers, a half-gallon each. And then we're going to add a half a gallon of Capri Sun to each, and we'll have 2 1-gallon batches at that point of this 50-50 mix. And I want to force carbonate one of them.
You want to force carbonate everything.
I do. She's not incorrect, but I think it will taste even better carbonated.
Sparkling, so I don't see why not.
We are going to do a forced carbonation video soon, but truth be told, I'm having some issues with leaks. That I've got some stuff coming from Amazon that will fix my problem, but I don't have it yet. So once we have the equipment all working correctly and we can demonstrate how to put this together and how you use it, we will do a video on just forced carbonation. And she really wants to do natural carbonation videos, and we're working towards that too. So I don't think we need any more ado. I think we can start racking it. So we're using the auto siphon,
which makes life easier.
Normally we would have this probably on the counter and this on the floor or on the stool or something, but so you can see it, we're doing it this way, which is a little awkward, but it allows you to see what we're doing. You don't want the lees that's at the bottom to come out, so be very careful to not disturb it. It's going to stay in here, and hopefully we just end up with juice.
Juice, in quotes.
Yeah, 15% juice, and then a bunch of water and preservatives.
High fructose corn syrup.
I'm unselling my product here, but okay, I just disturbed the lease and got some in the tube. That's not what I want to do, so this is a good time to tell you to check out our tools page. If you go to craftywiners.com/tools, we've got a bunch of calculators, including calculating ABV, adjusting your hydrometer reading for temperature, diluting is the newest calculator, but check those out. We'll be adding a couple of tools each month, probably going forward for a while until we have a good selection.
I've got one for priming sugar for your natural carbonation.
Yep.
I requested that one.
Tools are all free, obviously, so. Okay, so I tilted the carboy at the last of that to make sure that I got all of it that I could. And we're going to try to not get a bath of this stuff. So because of us tasting it and the little bit amount that's still in there with the lease that's not recoverable, we ended up with only about 120 and not 128 US fluid ounces. So we'll take that into account when we split this up. It's not a big deal. It probably wouldn't affect the taste much if one of them had less than exactly half of the Capri Sun for adults, which is what we're calling this.
But we'll get it pretty close.
But I'm gonna probably try to. It's 120, so I'll try to do
60 and 60.
60 and 60 into each container. So I'm gonna clear out some of this stuff so we have a little room to operate, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so before we split this into the two batches, we've got to add potassium sorbate and potassium metabisulfite to inhibit any further fermentation. We're going to put this back into it, and it has sugar in it, so there's a possibility that
It's
it could.
unlikely since this is 14%,
Probably not, but
but
better safe than sorry. So if you want
we could have split it up and done half the amounts we're gonna do too, but we're gonna do it here and make it easy.
to pour a little bit of that in here.
If you're just going to keep this in your fridge and drink it soon, I wouldn't even worry about doing these. Just go ahead and skip this. It's only if there's a chance it's going to get warm enough for fermentation to start again, and if you're not going to drink it soon, there's more of a chance. It's very, very slight possibility that fermentation would start again. And if you do bottle it, that would be a bad thing.
And we are also skipping the clarifiers in here that we normally put in because it just doesn't seem necessary.
This is good enough that I don't think it's going to last long.
I don't think so either. Especially if the carbonation turns out good.
Yeah. Capri Sun for adults soda.
Seltzer.
Seltzer.
We'll call it a seltzer.
Seltzer.
It's more sophisticated. Bet you nobody else has this flavor of seltzer.
Capri Sun, are you out there? Are you listening?
Wait, we need the credit for that. Royalties.
Okay, so we have our adult version split into two batches. We are going to be a little bit short of Capri Sun because of the fact that we were a little bit short of the adult version. So we're going to go ahead and put all of our Capri Sun into here and then split it between the two. So we want these to be as identical as possible.
So yeah, so now the fun part, we get to spend the next several minutes cutting all these open. So you don't have to watch this part. We'll come back when it's done.
Or we'll speed it up or something. Okay, so this came out to 126 ounces, which is about what we expected. We could have bought another box, but they're sold in boxes, not individually. So it seemed like a waste of Capri Sun.
It'll be fine. It'll just taste maybe a tiny bit more like Capri Sun.
You can see the color difference that what the fermentation did. It stripped out a lot of the darker color. This looks almost like a white wine,
Yeah.
and it's not.
No, it's not. Well, I mean, it is white.
So I'm gonna try really hard to get 63 ounces into the first one, and then the second one will be easy if I accomplish that. Okay, that's pretty close to half and half. So we should have pretty much two identical batches here. Stir it up and take a little taste.
Drum roll, please.
I stirred it up fairly well. This is not going to be ideal because it's not cold. I would recommend drinking this cold.
Yeah. I get to do the honors first.
We already know it's good.
It smells like Capri Sun. Imagine that. And it tastes like Capri Sun.
But it's a 6.8% alcohol.
Even better. Now, we haven't figured out how to put them back in the pouches. So you just pack it in your lunch at work, you know, with a little straw. Nobody'd know.
I would say that if you're not a Capri Sun lover, you may not love this. I think it's pretty good.
I think it's good. I like it.
I think our kids will like it. Our adult kids.
Our adult kids, yes.
I probably didn't mention everything that we use tonight's been sanitized. So if you're making something for the first time and don't know winemaking, make sure that you get Star San and watch our Star San video.
Okay. Well, I guess the next step is you can play with one of them and force carbonate it, and we'll see how that turns out.
Feel free to put more or less of the Capri Sun in with the adult Capri Sun. Do it to your taste. I don't think anybody's going to think that they need more sugar, but
definitely not.
If you want to add sugar, you can.
It's plenty sweet.
Best results, if you're not going to chill this and drink it right away, after you put the potassium metabisulfite and the potassium sorbate in, let it sit for 24 hours before you put the Capri Sun in. We're not going to have that issue. This is gonna live in the refrigerator till it's gone.
Yeah.
So we could have skipped. I think we mentioned that we could have
skipped
totally
the whole
skipped
thing,
it, but we wanted you to do it the right way and be aware that the fermentation can feasibly restart, which is going to produce CO2, and if you've got it bottled, your bottles might explode. So that's why we showed you that. So these are going to go into our fridge. I would recommend trying this if you like Capri Sun, and they do have lots of other flavors other than.
Oh yeah, this was the fruit punch one, but when I was at Walmart, I saw kiwi strawberry and a whole bunch of other flavors that sounded good.
It might be interesting to ferment other flavors and or mix other flavors, and like if we could have mixed something else,
a different flavor,
with the fruit punch. So this is kind of a fun one. We used Fresco cider yeast. Mm-hmm. You could probably accomplish almost exactly the same thing using Fleischmann's active yeast.
Yeah. Thank you for watching our Capri Sun for Adults Part 2. Please like and subscribe if you haven't already. If you have already subscribed to our channel, thank you very much. We appreciate your support. We'll have more fun things like this coming real soon. Until next time, cheers.